So I'm just going to continue to kind of go through the town here. I'll actually go to being my main character again. So this is just sort of an example of one of the little villages in the game. And the next thing I'm going to show is actually like one of the decisions we made when we started working on the game was we knew that the game needed to be an entirely, we wanted the light, again, as I was talking about, like make the lighting entirely dynamic and give people who are going to make their own modules complete control over it. So while this won't be in the final game, this is just sort of an example of how lighting works. We actually have a sun, and the sun I can move around and just whenever I want. I don't, I can put it wherever it goes. And actually, the sun is actually up in the sky. And so if I can actually find it, it's always kind of a pain in the ass to find it. So I have to follow my shadow. So as I play around, there's actually the sun. And the artists even wanted the ability to kind of increase the corona of the sun, so you can kind of get this kind of really washed out effect just from the sun. So now, like I was saying, everything in the game is dynamically lit. So, so if, in other words, but to do that, we need to actually have just more than the sun. So we have a light that is actually like the sky, like the blue sky beating down, and then the reflection of light coming from the bottom. And so if I turn off sort of all of the light, as you can see, everything except for a few things is completely black now, because everything was being lit from those three lights. So to kind of show the range of stuff you can do, I can go in and kind of turn the skylight back on and just make everything red. I can then take the ground light and turn it and make it blue. So you can now sort of see what is lit by the skylight and what's lit from the ground light. And then I can come in and I can go to the sun and I can make the sun this crazy green light. And now you can kind of see how the different lights affect everything in the scene, and how it sort of, and then on top of that, like, you could make crazy green, purple, yellow world, and it could look like this. So, and then on top of that, there's also the ability to go in and play with the clouds are all dynamic, in that you can kind of come in, you increase decrease the cloud cover, or increase it. Also, you can kind of change how the color of the sky works. And in the end, and there's even a bunch of other stuff. But the real key to all of this is it is giving sort of it's giving the ability for our artists and anyone that picks up the tool set to be able to kind of light levels and make them look however they really would want to. So the next thing I'm going to show is just sort of one of our interior areas, and sort of how kind of all the different sort of looks and kind of things that we can get out of what our interiors look like. So this is just sort of kind of a standard sort of ruiny castle looking area. And then we kind of go into, if I don't close the door on myself, I go into sort of, we can have sort of a very icy looking area. There's actually a big battle in this area, but I wanted to get through that quickly. I'll really stop doing that. And so this just sort of, again, gives kind of a different feeling for how the different areas look within the same area. And so this is what this whole area is sort of, as you can see, is the Temple of the Seasons. And so what we've done is we've kind of created every little room is sort of gives a different kind of feeling of whether it's ice or fire or in this case sort of very kind of green in life. And then if I open the book here, I'm going to basically fire off a big battle. And so these are basically huge stone golems, or earth elementals, sorry. And this is just sort of an example of sort of a big fight in NeverWinter. My character's invulnerable right now, so I can sort of pretty much kill everything, and they can't touch me. But we've worked really hard to kind of have a whole variety of not just sort of like little creatures, and really work to have like really giant big creatures as well, to really give you a feeling like you're in this fantasy, really in this fantasy world. So the area that I'm going to be showing now is just one of the graveyard areas, because no D&D or fantasy RPG would ever be complete without undead. And one of the things we also tried to do was make spellcasting a little easier to do. So we've actually created, so I'm about to fire off a fireball. And so we've actually made this so you can kind of really choose and see where the fireball is going to affect. So I'm actually going to just blast it on myself if it goes off. So, and we've kind of really, I guess in a lot of ways, really gone off with spell effects, and so that we can kind of create, see that wall, incinerate cloud, so that you really get the effect of casting giant spells. So it's not just sort of like a little thing and a couple graphics go off. It's huge effects, tons of particles, and everything. And pretty much all of our spells are that way. And we in particularly did it that way because in multiplayer we wanted to make sure that people knew, not just by the name of, they could read down in the text bar, but they knew what kind of spell you were casting by the spell effect itself. So every little spell that we cast, I mean, we've created an incredible number of unique spell effects so that people can get a sense of what's happening while they're playing with their friends, rather than having to tell each other exactly what's going on. So thanks for listening, and so NeverWinter Nights is going to be out later this year.